Will, thanks for joining this wonderful day
Of
in
course. Of course, of
Palm
course.
Beach. Is that where you're at?
You
I'm
got
not gonna
it.
put you on blast. I'm
On
gonna
the
put your location
board.
on blast.
It's funny. No,
Yeah,
it's nice. Finally hitting spring weather, which is good. A
yeah,
beautiful day to build some FlutterFlow projects, right?
yes. Oh yeah, I've been working on reintegrating our templates. So we are going to actually I'm going to rebuild all of our templates, and I'm going to get rid of some old ones that just suck or haven't been used. So it's going to be a lot of
Nice.
fun.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
We're going to utilize the new theme. So I'm actually going to, during this live stream, what we'll do is we'll go over Giphy, which is a cool little integration we're going to have. I'll let you show
Nice.
that off. I'll go over some of the colors. I know last week somebody asked, hey, could you like write a blog post about how you utilize colors? And I was like, yes. And I will eventually when I'm not building templates and product stuff.
Editing.
Yeah. But I'll colors and how I'm going to utilize them in the templates because they're important for when you utilize screen templates and component templates in your application and utilize your theme. Certain things will have to flow in order for them to actually work. So there's only like
Nice.
one primary use case that I'm thinking of and how I use line colors or utility colors because
Got it.
we didn't really add utility colors in there. Yeah. So that'll be fun. Hi, guys. Zakari, France, Kareem, Charles, thanks for
Going?
joining. Yeah.
How's it going?
Thanks for jumping in here. We were just going over sort of what we're going to do today. It's going to be a lot of fun. So,
Nice.
yeah. Awesome. Well, I wanted Will, he's been working on something really cool for FlutterFlow and a little integration with another popular company. So I
Nice.
wanted him to show off what's coming down the way.
Yeah,
So
you got it. No, super excited. Really, what we're trying to do here at FlutterFlow is increase the number of tools, integrations, all of that. As you know, there's a lot of exciting things out there for everyone to integrate into their FlutterFlow application. So you'll see a lot of new integrations coming over the next month, 2 months out, whether on the marketplace or native integrations. So make sure to watch on social media for all of those announcement posts and everything. But one of the exciting new add-ons or integrations we have coming to the marketplace is a Giphy or Giphy keyboard. Now, I will start the discussion with a big question, Andrew. How do you pronounce GIF or GIF?
Oh, okay. We've had this conversation before.
Oh, that's right. Okay, we
Yeah.
have. We have.
So the logical way of saying it would be Giphy, right? Because it's graphical something something. It's graphical.
Got it.
For some reason, the founder, the creator of GIF, of the GIF, said it was GIF or GIF. Sorry, no,
He
it
said
said
it
it
was
was
GIF.
GIF.
Yeah.
It said it was GIF with a J sound in English. I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get that, but GIF. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Giphy.
So I was a GIF pronunciator, and unfortunately, I have to say that when speaking with the Giphy team, it is Giphy. So I will be changing the way I say it from now on. So it is Giphy for all of those looking to use the new integration we have coming out soon, which will be a Giphy keyboard for your FlutterFlow project. So let me share my screen and I'll
This
share
is great. We're just really
just a quick.
solving the world's problems here. I mean, that pronunciation has set designers on fire for years. So
Okay, let me share my screen. Yeah, so this is just a preview screen. Obviously, this is not the full setup, but the way it'll work is we're going to be releasing it not as a native integration into FlutterFlow, like not a typical action. We're going to work towards that, but as a starting point for all users, it'll be a custom action. So what you'll do is just add it into your project from the marketplace. Then you can put it in any action chain that you create. And then, of course, you'll need to pass an API key and some other parameters, all which you can do just by heading over to the Giphy website, the developer portal. one of the exciting things too, we're now listed our logo. If you wait long enough on the Giphy site, you'll see our logo on there, which is pretty exciting. But yeah, so here's what it'll look like, right? Obviously, I'm on web, so the bottom sheet is gonna be pretty long, but we have light mode and dark mode. So I'll go ahead and click, and you can see the GIFs loading. Now, this is my Wi-Fi, that's why it's loading slow. But you can see all the GIFs loading. And the nice thing is this will have support for GIFs, stickers, and emojis. And we are working on the package. Giphy did release a new clips section as well, which actually have sound. That's something that we're working with the creator of this FlutterFlow or this Flutter package to implement. So you can see all of these, right? We have GIFs, stickers, which are just transparent, and then emojis here too, right? And these, like I said, this is my Wi-Fi. That's why it's
Yep.
not the fastest. But you'll have your emojis load here. So one thing that's pretty cool, if I were to click on this, right? If I did good morning, now it will actually appear and return an image path of whatever I click on. So makes it super easy to use this in your FlutterFlow project. You just add it as a custom action, name the output of that action, and then you can use that image path wherever you want. In this case, we're just storing it as a page variable, so we can display that anywhere. So that is light mode. We also have a dark mode. You can see that here. Let's see
Much
if this will
preferred.
load.
Much preferred.
Yeah.
I love it.
And what's up?
No, I love it. I love the
Oh,
dark mode.
nice. And then, of course, right, we have it's responsive. So if I were to open it on mobile, it's going to look just like before, just in a mobile view. So we're really excited to see all the projects that you add this into, and definitely exciting. Now, that is just the integration part. Now, one of the fun things we're working on as a team at FlutterFlow, and before I jump into that, actually, big shout out Shovik. Shovik on our team really, put this all together. He was the one that looked for the pub.dev package and integrated this Flutter or this Giphy keyboard. So I really want to shout him out
Yeah.
for working with the creator and actually updating some of the light dark mode issues that were present in the package before. So let's see if this actually works. I want to try it out here. Let's see if we can search FlutterFlow. Now, wow, look at that. We actually now have
Hey.
FlutterFlow GIFs
What
that
what
you can use, right?
what is that fox? What is that? Oh, new preview.
something something
Ah!
we might share in a little bit, right? Same for stickers. We have FlutterFlow stickers. So if you're a content creator on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, pretty much any platform where Giphy integrates, that's
Nice.
iMessage. It's not pushed out yet. They have more strict guidelines to releasing GIFs over time, but a lot of those other platforms, you can find our GIFs now live on those platforms. So all of these stickers I could add over any of my images for content creation. So yeah, this is going to be something we're going to be expanding upon our library here. Here's a fun one. We have the AI gen stuff. We have Alex and Abel from Flutter Forward. Alex doing his wave at the end there. So we're going to be adding a lot more. And you can find all these on our new official Giphy FlutterFlow channel or
Nice.
page. So you
Nice.
can see some of these here. Uh, you know, just let us know if there's any you want to see on Twitter or you have any ideas. Shoot us a DM, tell Andrew and I. We're going to be working to continue to add to this library over time.
Yep.
Now,
Yeah, this would be sweet.
yeah, one last thing I want to jump into as well is just an actual like use case for this, right? So, of course, it's great as a custom action, but here's an actual like implementation, right? So here's an app I'm working on. Oh, I gotta
You made switch
stop
tabs,
sharing
yeah.
here. Yeah, give me 1 second.
I love it. Yeah, and this is awesome for any chat app. You
Mhm.
now have a little more integration, and you'd have to sort of build a custom. I think I don't know if
Yeah.
we will do chats v1 eventually, so
Yep.
we'll definitely do that, and
For
we'll add
sure.
in there. So
Nice. So yeah, here's our official FlutterFlow Giphy channel, right? So we have different GIFs that you can go through and see them all listed here if you want to use these or share these as well. We're not officially announcing this for another week, so you guys kind of got a sneak peek, which is exciting.
that's right.
And then I'll share one other quick implementation, exactly what Andrew just talked about, right? So here's an app I was working on where, now I added a little GIF icon in my custom chat app. And so if you click on it, exactly what we said, you just have a custom action, you pass in your API. If you want to track like user usage, pass a user ID, colors. We have tab colors as well in the demo. And then all you have to do is just name the output and you can use that, right? So if it's set when the action is closed, then you can update any page state with that image URL. So, right, in this case, I just have a app where I have a message and when I click on the GIF keyboard and an image or GIF is returned, then the image appears with the GIF URL. And I'm just storing that as a page state. So super easy
Nice.
to implement. Really excited to share this with you all and see how you utilize it throughout your FlutterFlow applications.
Yeah, and a fun way to use page states. That's a
Yeah,
benefit, right? If you had to
for
utilize
sure.
that in like an app state, it'd be so annoying, right? Like it'd be everywhere and all that. It's very clean when it's just a page state. So
Exactly.
I've
Nice.
really enjoyed doing that. So
Awesome. Yeah.
yeah,
No, this is awesome. And yeah, it could be integrated in the chat. I know Andrew, you mentioned this. That is something we're potentially exploring, right? The like native FlutterFlow chat widget, maybe just having a toggle for the Giphy keyboard. So
yeah,
yeah, one of many fun new integrations to come that we're working on as a platform.
yeah. Excellent.
Awesome.
Sweet. Well, I wanted to just go over something we haven't touched on in one of these live streams, and it's going to be pretty free form. So,
Mhm.
but animations in FlutterFlow, right? I've been talking with a lot of designers and design teams, um, and on the enterprise side and also on the agency side, on how you can implement really robust user experiences within FlutterFlow. You can do this for prototyping. You can do this for onboarding. You can do this for within your application. I think there was a question from Alfredo. Um, like how can you implement professional animations, right? Like how do you put a polished professional feel on your application, utilizing our animations? And this is an excellent question, not just for Flutterflow people, not just for app builders, for designers, for project managers, for business people. How do you make an immersive experience that is engaging to the user? I'm going to focus on onboarding because onboarding is one of those things that you can do. That's a lot of fun, but also it engages the user automatically, right? When you want somebody to go through let's say a 3 or 4 page onboarding experience, right? You want some of their data, their photo, or whatever, a KYC, right? Like know your customer experience for large banks or crypto apps. All of these things, you need to keep your user engaged. So you can do that through animations. We are aesthetic beings, right? We like to see things, we like to interact with things, we want to know um, how something got to a certain place, on the screen. So we can do that through utilizing animations. Let me go ahead and share my screen. FF training. Yeah, that's it. Oh, Chrome tab. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to do a couple things here. I want to showcase a few things. And I'll showcase sort of the end thing, the end goal, and then yeah, how we sort of built that. So one thing, we have like this, sign up with email. This is one way that I integrated some animations and a Lottie, because I love Lotties, into an onboarding experience. So let's pretend like this was the end of an onboarding experience. We want to send something with an email. Let's pretend like we have an email up here, right? This would be like a reset password or one-time link, one-time code that we send via email. We can just tap this little guy, and we can utilize an Lottie animation, right? And we can also animate some text in here for uh, one of our applications, one of the replicate applications. We had a loading experience where you drew a picture. No, actually, this was Artser. So you entered a prompt, and we had a little loading animation come up, and we actually animated text through FlutterFlow. We didn't even use Lottie. We didn't use a library. We just utilized timed animations within FlutterFlow. So this is really cool. The way I set this up, if we come over here, I have this stuff in a stack, and Will, I'll let you sort of handle this the questions or comments and stuff.
Yeah,
It's a
of
little
course.
further away for me, but yeah. So the way I have this set up, I put all this stuff in a stack so that when I click this button, it will shrink down and the Lottie animation will actually grow in. Okay. So the way I did that was I set up an on action trigger animation, right? And we have this on action triggers are awesome. Like on page load is great, but when you can do something on action, you don't have to like transition to another screen here. You can stay on this screen and automatically animate stuff in. So we have it initial opacity 1, initial scale 1. We go down to 0. So that was that. We'll start a new session so that we can just quickly reboot. Um, oh, dude, was I showing you guys the actual tab? uh,
I thought you were showing us the join us and cook with confidence. We can
yeah,
see
yep,
that. Yeah.
I did. I did. But I also, uh, my bad. I also had this animation that was really cool. Um, and also this animation was also a Lottie. So let's go ahead. We just implemented this. Um, oh, whoa. Oh, okay. Let me do that. Yep.
Yeah, and just been working hard. Like, there's a lot of interesting. Do you? There's a lot of interesting and like cool animations that you've implemented, whether it's on the FlutterFlow homepage via SVGs or in this case a Lottie file. Do you want to talk about like some of the tools you've used to create these effects too, since these are animations but a little more complex?
Yeah, and that was an excellent example. I wish I would have been showing you the whole time, but you'll see it when you guys do your test modes and run modes. So we've actually integrated a little bit better like progress bar for test and run mode to give you guys some feedback on what we're actually doing and when it's going to be done. And then also, I put that little animation in there. Okay, it's like a little like cool. Something's building, something's going on. It's not just static anymore. I utilize that's a Lottie animation. I just found this tool called Ana Animita, right? It's a Figma plugin that you can download, and then you can basically just do a timeline animation, and you can export it as a Lottie, and then you can put it in Lottie files, or you can just export it directly into your FlutterFlow application. So that's what that little guy was, and this is what I was trying to show you guys before, which I didn't. So pretend like we have a little uh, email input up here, and we're going to send an email, right? So we just have this little guy, and we have this little Lottie animation, and then we animated this text up, right? This is what I was trying to explain. It probably made a little bit of sense when I was talking about it before because I was showing this, but I was showing this page, but it's cooler to actually see it. So the way I built it was if you click this, we have on action trigger, right? We went over that. I also did an on action trigger for this Lottie animation because the Lottie animation doesn't grow. It just sort of sends the little envelope. But I wanted it to fade in. I wanted it to scale, slide a little bit. Um, and then I also, right, after it sort of triggers, it's about a second and a half animation or so. So after it fires off the animation, the Lottie animation, I wanted it to actually move up. So if you see this, I have fade, scale, and slide, no delay, right? And then at 1200 milliseconds, I have it slide up again. I have it slide -20 up. So if you want to just reload this, you'll sort of see that. It'll do its little thing, and then it'll just sort of slide up at the very end of that. And then this text will slide up as well. So we have the animation, and then we slide up a message, right, that gives feedback to the user, and it's not in the animation itself. This is like so beneficial, okay, that you don't actually have to add every single thing into an animation because you're developers, you're maybe FlutterFlow engineers, and you don't want to have to go back to the designer and be like, hey, can we change the text? Hey, like that's a really cool animation, but could we change the text and we could do this? And then like, could you re-export it? And then could you really send it over and then put it up into FlutterFlow? Like, no, you don't want to do that. Like, you can do your animation, make it really cool, and then any text or any message you want to send to the user, you can just animate that in. And all I did here was another on action trigger, and I did a delay of 1200. Now I can make that like 1500, right? Like if you saw that animation, it was probably, well, I mean, I actually it was really fluid, but we'll do 15, right? We'll do that, and then we'll just redo it. Oh, nice Lottie. Nice Lottie. Little things like that. So loading states, you can use animations in loading states. You can use animations in empty list views. You can use animations in onboarding screens, right? Those are like some of the more professional ways to utilize animations in general, Lottie specifically, but also on load animations. Just perfect, right? I think that's pretty good. Let's say that's solid. Oh, cuss. Of course. I'm not reloading my screen. Sorry, guys. I could be sharing my screen, but then you would see all my folders and stuff. Nobody wants to see that. Yeah. So you have this. Boom. It just smoothly animates up. I love it. Cool. So that's one way, right? On action trigger animations utilize sort of tiered animations, right? Or staggered animations by using a delay on other elements. We have a delay on this guy. We have a delay on this guy. And we can do multiple animations with this guy as well, which is super cool. You can only do one on action trigger per element. Okay, so I couldn't like trigger this guy to do the first 3 animations and then trigger him again to do the second or the fourth animation, right? Currently, you can only do one on action trigger per element, but there's a lot of things you can do with that. So another way,
is there a workaround to that? Here's my question. Here's a
yeah.
sneaky. Is there a way to do a start animation, wait, and then a stop animation, and then a start as well? Or no?
You could.
Like, because I know you can set a timing. I mean, that would be really, really complex, but
Yeah,
that's
it
why
would be complex. You
that's
you
why I was
can you can't start,
interesting.
stop. You can loop. You can reverse animations.
Yeah, we
So
can
in the
cancel.
Archer app, we do like a reverse. So we do like a like button, and we just grow it in and then reverse it.
Yeah,
So
nice.
this would be another way. Don't pay attention to the actual buttons, and don't pay attention to this debug because it will. But I'm animating this little like image gallery, right? Up and down. And then I just have it on a loop. All right. I'll show you how I built that. And then I also, on this page view, I'm animating this text elements in on page load. So for the page view element, this is really cool because in onboarding experiences, you want this, right? When you're swiping through stuff, you could actually have this stuff animate in every single time. Now, it gets a little tricky when you scroll, right? Because it sort of triggers the animation as it enters. So if I scroll, you don't really see it. You sort of see it, but it's just not very clear. But if I just like swipe, or if I had a next button, right, that actually just moved me to the next slide, all I did here was I added a delay so that it would wait, right? So when you scroll through this, you will see the animation because it's delayed about 200 milliseconds. So yeah, let's go back to the screen and show
A
this.
good question we had while you're navigating. Can you integrate Rive animations or animations built with Rive and FlutterFlow? Yes,
Yep.
you can. There's a Rive widget. However, you cannot
Yep.
start and stop Rive animations. Is that correct?
So
Or we don't have like the
there's
controls? Yeah.
you can start and stop them, but in Rive, you can create stateful animations. So if you think about a game or something, Rive is very complex. Well, it's robust, right? I don't know if it's complex, but I think there's a difference between well, I guess complicated and complex. Complex can be a good thing. Complicated, I think, is like confusing, But complex is probably a good thing. It's a positive. When I say complex, I mean it's a good thing. But Rive is very robust as well. So what they do is they have stateful animations. So as I was saying before, right? Um, on our animations, you can only do one on action trigger. So in a Rive, when you create it in Rive, you could create a series of steps, right, which would be a state, and then a series of other steps, which would be another state, and then a series of another steps, which would be another state. We have no readability into those states right now in our Rive V1, so we can't do the stateful stuff. We can play and pause animations, I think. So we have almost the same functionality as Lottie's. But yeah, you can totally integrate Rives into FlutterFlow. We have a little widget. I'll just create another, or here, what if I think where I could add it. I'll just add a page here. Do something. Do another boarding 2. Okay. Oop. Do we already have an onboarding 2? Oh no. I'm in the process of updating all of these templates. So if you guys are bored, I'm bored with that. We'll just duplicate this guy. If you guys are bored with our templates, there's more coming. We'll just remove this little guy. Anyways, I do want to show sort of how I made this, because right before we get into Rive, okay, guys? Because it took me a second to do this. And I was like, and I just saw this design on Dribble, and I was like, that's cool. Let's animate it. Let's add a little bit of interaction. I think it'd be really cool. And I wanted to sort of show like the different columns going back and forth, which you can do it. I spent like 10 minutes on this. If you spent 30 minutes on it, you could do it really cool. I use a staggered view widget, okay? And I just wrap that in a container. The animation is on the container, okay? And I added a height of 600 pixels to that container. I have a scroll, right? I needed to add this column. If I didn't add this column, it would have looked a little janky. It like didn't really, it basically animated this whole section up and down, which is not what I wanted. I wanted this container to animate through this clipping mask of 420. So I have a little bit of space there. I have a little bit of space, right? 600 is the child, and then 420 is the parent where I'm clipping it. So, but I needed to add this scrolling column to actually get it to work, so that it looks like this instead of this whole thing going up and down, which looked really janky. So, yeah, that's how I did that one. Anyways, and again, you could do this column, right? This column and this column. Be super cool. Whoa. Am I lagging?
No, I'm here. I'm just turning off my camera because it's close to the phone screen,
No,
so I don't want it to.
you're good, man.
I want everyone to focus on you and the app, but we can all
Oh
see and
no,
hear your screen well.
cool. I was looking over and I was like, "Ooh, I feel like I'm lagging a bit." Anyways,
No, you're good.
we'll come over here and we'll add a little Rive. Right, we'll just search that, and ooh. Well, we can decide which ones we want to include.
I didn't know that
Did
was a thing.
did
Is that new?
Sophia work on this? Did Sophia work on this? Like, did she? Let's see. Let's preview this animation.
I don't even know. I didn't even know that was
Oh, the world.
possible until right now. Is that a planted question in the audience?
Cool. Kafid, we'll try to talk about this. Yeah, Kevin. That's right. I look at well, this is really cool. Sorry, guys, we're just sort of amazed. I don't use Rive as much as I should, because I typically do simple animations like Lottie. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Let's do intro. We're just gonna preview this. Oh, not bad. Definitely not on brand for this app. Not on brand. But
No, not at all.
yeah, not bad nonetheless. Okay. So, Kafid, you wanna learn how to make a tutorial animation um, when a page is first opened. So we sort of do this on ours, like when you first open a project in FlutterFlow, but we don't use animation really. We uh, we use a page view, right? And then I utilize Lotties. Actually, those are Lotties. If you've seen that onboarding experience, um, to actually animate things in, right? Because for complex animations like that, you're going to want to use an actual uh, library or something, right? You want to do simple animations within your app. You want to do complex animations within an animation tool. It's just going to it's most likely going to work better, right? You don't want to build like a whole interface with containers and columns and everything in here and then try to animate that. You want to do that in a design tool or a video editing tool, or Rive, right? You could do that in Rive. I do it in Lottie. I do it in Figma, and then I export to Lottie. Um, so that's how I do that stuff. I also use SVG Gator, which is a sick tool, but it is not necessarily for Flutter apps. It's for web stuff. So SVG animations are for web apps. So, but yeah, let's go ahead. Okay. First time open on web or apps telling us about the UI or features on its apps. We could, you could do this, right? You could make this onboarding experience sort of cool. The way you would do this is within stacks. And I don't always agree with this implementation. So I don't know if I would actually do this, right? If you come in and maybe you see an overlay and it tells you where you're, what to do on the page, it would be very messy. So I don't know if we should cover this actually, but onboarding stuff, right? Like here, um, utilize Lotties. So if we want to come over here, let's just say we're personalized recipe discovery, right? Let's pretend like we're doing that. Let's go over to Lottie, and I will stop sharing. I'll share this tab instead. I'll log in. I think I need to log in with Gmail. Yeah. So let's look at some cooking examples. Cool. I like this. Let's go ahead and grab this. And again, not really our branded style. So I know we're going to do an actual tutorial on this, Will. So I don't want to preview too much, but this is just a
Oh, this
dry
is
run
great.
through. Yeah. So we can actually say edit this animation, okay? And we'll just open this in the Lottie uh, yeah, the Lottie editor, and we have all of these colors here. So I'm going to grab my brand colors from my app. I'm just going to come over here, those, and then I can start updating these. Right? Okay. This one too. Oh, nice. Go ahead. Those. Let's get rid of this red one. This other red. Yeah. Maybe we want some. Okay. Ooh.
This is the powerful new Lottie editor that they released not too long ago.
Ah,
So it's pretty amazing because you can customize like every color in the animation, and they have so many free animations throughout the site. Obviously, there's also paid animations too, but it's like so easy to use their editor instead of having to. I remember like back in the day having to download or like use After Effects
yeah.
and go through every layer, and oh my gosh, it was a mess.
Yep.
So
This is super cool. So we have this animation. We didn't touch it. We didn't create it. We just utilizing the power of community. Okay, we're just utilizing the power of community. We can hand off and embed. We'll just embed this asset here. Copy and paste. I typically will download these, just because it works a little better. Share this tab instead. Yeah, let's do that. All right, now we can Command F. We'll find our Lottie. Drag this guy in. And we will make this like 400 by.
Sometimes I'm so tempted to just leave the dog in my apps because it's such a funny like
a
dog walking animation.
Yep.
Nice. That looks awesome. That looks really cool.
Yeah. So in dark
Wow.
mode, this isn't showing up, so we should probably change the colors there. But for now, we'll see if we'll just, what I'll do is on action, I'll just dark mode settings, just set this to light mode. I'm just doing this on page load. So whenever we come to this page, it'll automatically change it to light mode. Should. I'm hoping this will work. All right, now I'll come over here and you will see. So, and thanks guys for just sticking around. I hope this is helpful. What we went over earlier was how to do animations like this. If you're just joining us, this is utilizing a Lottie, and then we're gonna just jump over here, and we didn't navigate. This is a second onboarding screen, so we'll just set up an action to go to that onboarding screen.
Nice. While you're setting that up, Kevin, great question. Can you currently animate the mobile splash screen? You can only add a GIF image, I believe, to yeah. You can't like. I mean, I guess if you had a GIF that fills the entire screen, you could do that, or just a small icon. But right now, there's not a super complex way of animating anything. That said, I'll actually pull up an interesting project that could showcase animations too, Andrew.
Perfect. Perfect.
Which might be a showcase of that, where I actually did kind of animate a login screen. Go ahead.
Nice. There. And we have that. Not bad. A little Lottie animation. And again, right, if we wanted to, typically in an onboarding, all of this would transition. Right now, I just have this text transitioning, but really what you should do in this case, this was for the other onboarding screen, but in this case, you would have a Lottie for this, you would have a Lottie for this, and you'd have a Lottie for this, right? And each of those would pertain to whatever content you have here. So, and you could probably, if it's a cooking app, I mean, you can find some really cool, maybe recipe. Share this tab instead, yeah. Like recipe stuff, right? You could just come in here and do almost the same thing. You just find some of this stuff. And again, you can pay a creator. You could buy some Lottie animations. You don't have to. They have a very awesome free library of animations, which I enjoy using, and then editing. And the same thing with Rive, right? We don't want to just say Lottie is the only way. You can do Rive, and you can also just do it yourself. But yeah, maybe Will, why don't you go ahead and show off how you've used animations, and then I'll dive into sort of another place where I use animations for dynamic stuff as well. So
yeah, this will be relatively quick. I just wanted to show because this is something I actually tried to figure out for a while. What was that?
Feel free to take as much time as you want. Yeah.
Oh, it'll be quick. So I was making a app for like my local Lions Club. If you're familiar with Lions Club, it's a service organization. So any of the copyright, logos, anything that is their logo and all of that, right? No affiliation with FlutterFlow. But in this case, what I did was I made two different splash screens, one for sign up and one for sign in, because in the app details, you can select a sign up and sign in screen. So I set those to two separate pages here. And then I just have an on page load action to wait for a certain amount of time. So in this case, I have, wait 6 seconds or 6,000 milliseconds and then navigate to the actual sign in page. And what this does is it creates kind of a cool effect. One of the best use cases I've seen recently, for example, is like the there's an app for Soho House, which is an organization. So Soho House, their app has, when you open it up, it says like hello and then your name, and then it has a cool like video, some sort of video they've put together, and it plays for probably 4 to 5 seconds, and then it actually takes you to the app. So it's like a, more premiere or cool onboarding experience, or just like app experience when you open it, although it takes a little bit more time to actually get into the app. So I wanted to try that out, and I did that with this app. So what it does is I have a stack and then a container, and the background most the furthest back container has a GIF image that I put together. So I just recorded a GIF and optimized it so it's relatively small in size. You could probably do a video that auto plays or whatever else. And then I just have an overlay on top of that, and then the logo. So what that turns out to look like is something like this if it loads here, where it will be uh, it'll fade into the GIF, it'll play the GIF for a little bit, right? Kind of a cool onboarding experience, and then go right into my app. So that's an example of if you wanted to try to add like um, an animated page. So let me stop sharing and actually show the page what it looks like when it's loaded.
Yeah.
So you can see this here, right? Like I'm logged into this app, but if I were to reload the page, whoops, let's see what happens here. If I reload the page, it will fade into that GIF animation because I have the GIF fading in. It'll play for 6 seconds and then fade into my app. So that's kind of like a cool onboarding experience, right? It might not be the best for every app experience, but
Yeah.
that was something I was playing around with. If you wanted to try out maybe adding that like intro animation, right?
I love that. Oh,
Thanks.
yep.
Thanks.
Yep. And that's also a great use case, right? So like when to use GIFs or GIFs rather than vector based like Lottie, right? Lottie is vector based. Rive is vector based. So you wouldn't want to use images in those. You typically wouldn't want to use images, right? Like actual full on images within Lottie or Rive. It's going to really just like make those things very heavy. So utilize GIFs when you can, when you're using those, right? Graphical interface, uh, something. I should know the name of, or the official name for the initials, but I don't. Um, but yeah, utilize GIFs when you're using images like that. And you can utilize GIFs for uh, those smaller graphics as well. They're just not going to be clear, right? Like that's why I don't like on our web page, we have we use SVG animations because they're very clear, they're very sharp. So, but now we could use Lottie if we wanted to because of we have that animation tool within Figma that I've really enjoyed using. I just don't like to open up After Effects. So,
Nice. And
um,
the other thing too is like file sizes. I think that's a big topic too. Um, the issue with a lot of like GIFs or GIFs is they typically are massive when it comes to
yep,
file size. So use them appropriately, and be sure to really try to compress them the most you can or optimize them. Obviously, you're at some point going to sacrifice quality for compression. So do your best to compress those best you can, right? You don't want to load a 50 megabyte GIF every time you load the page because it's going to take 5 seconds, 6 seconds to load.
yep. Yeah, exactly. And Rive has done a really good job in creating animations at a very small file size. So just another thing to keep in mind when you are looking for efficiency in design and maybe some more robust animations. Lotties are also really good. They're going to be way less than a GIF. But just I wanted to mention that I've seen them on Twitter, promoting that. So um, we want to give shout outs to all of our integrations, not just one. Um, and even though I use Lottie's a little more just because I'm familiar with it, Rive is really powerful. And we actually animated that little fox, Kathy. Big shout out, Kathy. Kathy. She created a little. Well, I won't announce it here, but she created something really cute for FlutterFlow, and then she animated it in Rive, and it looks really cool. So, um, how to use animations in your apps, right? Not onboarding, but maybe some small interactions. So this is that, again, that Kanban board app. I am like 2 minutes away from making it a actual shareable project on Marketplace. I created the duplicate, but then I have to hook it up to Firebase and get a run mode and all that stuff. So I was a little, yeah, I got busy with other stuff. So I want to go dark mode because I want to. So this is one of the interactions that I've created. I've utilized animations here, right? On page load or on this element when it loads, you get animations. You also get animations here. So when you leave a feedback, hey, this is really great. Love it. You can post an update, and this the new element will actually animate in as well. So that is super cool, right? When you have a chat app or some sort of feed where you're leaving comments or you're leaving reviews, maybe giving that small interaction instead of just boop, something new, like having a little more interaction there really provides something cool. So this is another way. And the way I did that, if we come back to the Kanban board, view this guy. Yeah. So on this list view, we did a couple things. We have, I think we reversed, where do we set that setting? We reversed this little guy. Yeah, we reversed this little guy. So instead of feeding the new elements in at the bottom, we're feeding them at the top. And then over here, right, we're just animating this guy on page load. So whenever you create a new record, it's essentially on page load. So it's just coming in, it's animating in. And that's also a fun thing to be said for things with conditional visibility. So when you add something with conditional visibility, right? Maybe this, like, we'll come back to this onboarding page and we'll showcase something else. So hopefully my internet won't give way. I'll close this Kanban board app down, come back to animation here. I'm going to just do a new session and we'll come back over here. I'm going to, well, I'll just create a new page. Because I want to show you guys that you can actually do some of these things as well with condition in very practical ways within your application. I'll get an error. Yeah, we do. Okay, cool. All right. So let's go ahead and say that toggle list widget. I want switch list here. Okay. On this guy, we want some 16, 16, and 16, 12. That works. We want our thumb color here. On these guys, you can also change the platform, so you can make this adaptive, right? That's sort of what I want. Include bio. This guy. Change this to something a little more normal sized. Okay. So in an onboarding experience, right, you have this stuff. We have action. Let's go ahead and remove that. We don't need it. Trying to get to a state where I can show this as well. We'll drag this little guy in here. Yeah. Okay.
And any questions you have so far for animations or anything? I know we're coming towards the end of the live stream somewhat. So please,
Yeah.
send those in chat, and as soon as we're wrapping up, we'll continue to answer those.
Yep. And this is just, one last thing I want to show you, because I think it expands for beyond stuff like this, right? It expands for other places you utilize conditional visibility, or you want to show something within an app that maybe you didn't know about. So we're going to just fade this guy in. I always do hide before animation and same duration and delay here. So we want maybe a slide 30, and why not like a little tilt? Okay. We'll just animate that in. Nice. Okay. And then if we come back to conditional visibility, we're just going to set this condition based off of, and as you can see, we can just select this here off the canvas. Super cool. Perfect. All right. So when we toggle this guy on, we should have this animate in. So if we go back to onboarding, we'll do onboarding 2, and we'll just navigate. Okay, we have create profile. Perfect. Let's clear out this. Yep, I knew there was something. Just clear that out. Cool. Beautiful little dog mode here. Oh, well, it'll take 2 more minutes. Let's answer some questions. Okay, integration for app development or web assembly improvements for web apps. We are working on improvements for web apps. Yes, we're doing that throughout the year. If you're talking about AI integration for app development, like AI Gen, we just released the alpha version to some creators this past week, trying to let them sort of work it out. There's a quota limit on how many requests we're able to make and return. So we do have some stuff, that's holding us back there because we're using an open source API. So yeah, that's something there.
What do you think about the animation slowing down performance? I think that's a good question too.
It is.
Um,
It is a good
I'm
question.
sure if there were a ton of animations, it might slow down performance. Or if you're like animating a widget that like a container that has 50 things inside of it, maybe that would slow down performance. But I would say personally, for the most part, it shouldn't. And I think that's in the way that Flutter handles animations. But Andrew, what do you think?
Yeah, for sure. So on the web, you can sort of see some performance issues. On mobile, I haven't seen any. Like it's pretty clear, pretty like fluid. It doesn't. There's not a whole lot of effect there. But on the web, I've seen a few where it's like, oh, okay, like I added a bunch of animations, which you don't need a bunch of animations, right? Like you don't need that to make something fluid. You don't need that to make your app feel at home, right? Something like this is very simple. It engages you. Something like this as well, right? You're just animating a few text elements in. You're not animating everything on the page. You don't have like a full on background that's sort of like moving and stuff. You don't need that in 80% of the cases, right? And when you utilize Lotties like this, it takes that performance and it puts it into the animation as well, right? Now we're just loading sort of like a web view here with that animation. So, oh no, hey, we were supposed to navigate to this page. Oh, you know what? We just need to reload. Okay, reloading your app. And again, this is a Lottie animation as well. Shouldn't take that long. Cool. Let's do that. Yep. So that's how Flutter works on the web and also the web in general. So whenever Zakari asked the question, why does web lag when you have animations and mobile has no issue? Native apps are better performing apps in general, right? A Mac OS app, right, is a faster app than a web app in general, just across the line, right? Doesn't matter if you're building in React or Angular or HTML, CSS. Like you're going to most likely better perform when it's built natively. Okay, you're able to use better CPU. You don't have to go through the browser, stuff like that. So that's why on a native device, and that's the benefit of Flutter, right? It produces a native application on your device. It doesn't produce a progressive web app in a wrapper. Uh, you get you know the benefits of that. So as you see here, we have this whoop, whoop, cool. We have this little guy. We could probably animate this guy down as well, but we have this little animation on conditional visibility. And as you can see, it's just sort of animated in. It's a little, I'm an idiot. Here you go. Now you can see it. There you go. Sharing tabs, guys. But yeah, you have this animation
Nice.
on an element on the page. Okay. And every time you toggle it on, it'll animate in. So in a web app, you could do this, right? With like a custom drop down or a custom, uh, you'd have to do this in a stack or something, but you can do this where you have sort of a custom menu or overlay menu that you want to show. Maybe you want to animate it in, and you can do that just by toggling a page state and then animating it in. It also works on page states. So
Nice.
on, if you set a page state to like view menu Boolean, right? You change or update that page state, you'll animate that image or you'll animate that element in. So
Hmm.
another thing to keep in mind as you're doing small animations, you can improve that for your app. So I think we covered a decent amount. I mean, maybe not the full spectrum, uh, but some simple things that you can do to improve your app. So
And there's a lot of animated marketplace items too that you can learn from.
yep,
I think there's some pretty cool ones. One of the um, more like innovative examples is the menu, similar to the old, I think it was like the old Airbnb app menu or something like that, where when you click the menu, the
yeah,
page kind of like folds back and reveals a menu behind. So that's a great example, right? Of a tilt, I think is the page, a tilt and
yep.
move or slide animation, things like that. So definitely check out the marketplace too for a lot of these examples.
Yeah, this FlutterFlow Tips has some really good animations. Shout
Yeah,
out, dude. Um, has some really good animations in here. I'm trying to find that one specifically
nice.
because it is like really cool. This guy, oh my gosh, this app that
Yeah,
Syrian did. I mean,
very cool.
download this app, like, or just like clone this
Yeah,
project and see what he's done. He has done some amazing work.
yeah,
Uh, he used clipping masks like robustly. I'm hoping it still works. Probably a year old by now. Um, so we'll see. But yeah, this app is like super cool. Um, yeah, there it is. Cool. So, I mean, animation in. Um, you have slide animations,
oh,
right? He's using some custom icons here.
wow.
I mean, this is wild stuff,
That's
right?
crazy.
Like wild.
I didn't even know about the numbers. That's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look at that.
Oh,
I mean, come on, dude. This is wild, and
oh,
this is all done in FlutterFlow. Like, I mean, this guy is just he's something else, man.
wow.
Uh this is a custom widget, this little guy. So he added this as well in the marketplace.
Wow.
Um just wanted to showcase this because I think this is like one of the best
Yeah,
use cases of animation in
that's
FlutterFlow.
amazing.
And even this, like, right? He has little things that just loop here. Um, let's see, we'll exit ride mode.
Wow.
He just used a clipping mask for this, like just a clipping mask. It's just like, it's sort of ridiculous.
Nice.
Everything that's possible. So if you guys didn't know about this, you need to check it out. You need to, see what he's done, how he does
Yeah.
it. It's very cool.
Wow.
So yeah, that brings us almost to the end. Well, pretty much the end. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. If you guys have specific questions, reach out on Twitter to Will or I. We'd love to answer questions. We can maybe go through if there's any other questions we didn't get to.
Yeah. I think the
Or
only
any
one,
tutorials.
Zakari just said, how do I take a how do I take a FlutterFlow, I'm assuming FlutterFlow app, and install it on my device only? You can just use the FlutterFlow CLI or export the code. If you have Flutter installed on your device, whether you're using Mac or Windows, then you should be able to just compile it for your device. Another option is, this is kind of a sneaky method that I do sometimes when I don't want to like create the Mac app, at least for Mac or like Windows. If you use Google
Yeah.
Chrome, there's a cool new feature where if you publish it as a web app in FlutterFlow with a temporary domain, then you can actually in the search bar, there's a little download button when you visit that temp URL, and you can download it as a Chrome web app. So when you click on it, it'll run in a window. It's kind of feeling like it's a native application as well. Granted, it still runs
Yep.
on web, but yeah.
Yep. And Zakari, so the best way to do this, right? I don't know if you have an iPhone or an Android, but you can get Android Studio. You can download your APK, and you can run it that way if you have an Android. And I think we have some tutorials that go over that. I'm not an Android user, so I can't walk you through that whole process. I apologize. But if you have an iPhone, which I guess you said I need it for iPhone, so that makes sense. You can create a test flight, and you can just publish to the test flight. It's not going to go to the App Store, right? You're not going to launch it on the App Store. Just launch it to test flight and then add yourself as a test user. This is what I do with some of my apps that I really want to test on my device. In the future, we sort of have a preview app that we're working on. It's going. Some hoops we have to jump through, but with commenting and some project management stuff, we'll get through it, and we'll try to sort of push that. I think sort of maybe halfway through the year, we'll try to push that to the App Store. That will just be a Flutter, Jeremy, right? Testing on a mobile device, excellent. But the preview app will just be like a run mode within a wrapper. It's not going to be a native app, right? It'll just be a run mode link that you can view on your phone like you would a native app, but it's just going to be web. So test flight is really the best way to do that. And it's not that hard. We have an older video that we are updating, in the process of updating. But you will be able to basically set up everything you need on test flight, push it to test flight, and then view it on your phone. It's one of the best experiences when you actually view your test flight. It's like, oh my gosh, it's right here, you know? So super cool, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I hope this explained some things in ways that you could actually implement animations in your applications in a variety of ways, right? Both on action trigger, on page load, on conditional visibility, with Lotties and Rives. You can do this for onboarding or traditional elements, right? You can utilize animations within backend calls or create records. I think we covered a good bit. I mean, we have these awesome GIFs that are coming, Giphies.
Yeah, we got some
Giphies,
very
sorry.
creative use cases, that is for sure. Yeah.
Yep. So awesome. Thank you guys so much. Let us know what you guys want us to go over next week. If not, I know that before people have asked for more responsive ways to build responsive apps. Will is actually working on a responsive app in FlutterFlow right now. And he was like, oh my gosh, it's sort of like a web builder. If you do like max width and do all this stuff. And I was like, it is pretty cool. So yeah, not that we should build web pages, but web apps, mobile apps, you can do all of this in FlutterFlow. It's really cool. So we could cover that again, so, and maybe I'll let Will do that one, he could show off his building skills.
Nice.
You need to see this guy build. He's quite amazing. So
Awesome. Awesome.
cool.
Yeah. Thanks,
All
everyone.
right. Thank you guys.